Hey guys, it's Joy from Jake and Joy and Cook with Jake and Joy, and every Tuesday, every first Tuesday of the month, we try to come out with a live Cook with Jake and Joy. And so today is kind of a hurried one, but it's something that I learned from Dr. Michael Gregor. If you haven't read his books, his first one was How to Not Die, and his second one is How to Not Diet. And now he's coming out with a new cookbook called How to Not Die. I think it's the How to Not Die cookbook. But anyway, he's really fascinating because all of his stuff is research-based, and he's completely vegan, animal-free cooking. Don't know what his stance is on gluten-free, but he's always looking at comparisons from a scientific standpoint of how to eat, what to eat, etc. So I think his stuff is really valuable. You can go to his website, I think it's drgregor.com, and you can get his weekly podcasts, his weekly webinars that come out, and I follow him quite regularly. So this week, the thing that he talked about I found really fascinating, because a lot of us that work in my industry, in my business, and that are on my team, we do things like salad in a jar parties, meal prep, soup in a jar, and we prep things for the week. But had never really thought about, number one, making a smoothie out of vegetables, just vegetables, and number two, I never really thought about prepping for them. Like, I prep for fruit smoothies, but never really for a vegetable smoothie. So I'm going to share this quick recipe that he shared, and it's pretty fascinating. If you want to check it out, just join his mailing list and you can get them yourself. So the first thing he has you do is he wants you to take as many Ziploc bags as you are going to use for the week. So say you're going to do 5 vegetable smoothies for the week, get 5 bags. That's kind of where he starts. But let's just start with 1 bag. So the first thing that he has you use is a carrot. And he says that you don't need to peel this carrot, and I think it's really smart. You can take the whole carrot and just take the back of a knife and get the smudge off of it. Now, one thing to know is that there are some vegetables that start to lose their nutritional qualities when you cut them up. There are other vegetables, and carrots is one of them, that actually cutting them induces the vegetable to produce more antioxidants. Let that sink in for a minute. It's like, what? Yes. It produces more antioxidants, so it's really, really, really crazy. So you add a piece of carrot, and then you're going to add 1 sprig of celery. Now you can leave the leaves on if you think that's going to be yummy. This is the first time I'm doing this, so I'm not going to leave the leaves on. I'm just going to have it be 1 piece of celery. And then he has you use a green onion with the little frilly things cut off. So we're going to cut those off. We'll leave the rest of it intact, but a whole green onion. And then he has you do a half of any type of pepper, red, yellow, or orange. And the reason that you don't use green is because the flavor, so we're not putting any fruits in here at all, guys. This is all veggies. So when you think about that, we don't really want to get the bitterness of a green pepper. So we're having half of a red pepper. And he says, what do you do with the other half? Well, you can use it to dip in hummus, right? So you can slice these up and make some great hummus. And then what I thought was really fascinating, first, beetroot. So beetroot is one of the most nutritious foods on the planet. In fact, if you've read Jitterbug Perfume by Tom Robbins, it's fascinating. This guy lives to be 600 years old, he and his wife, and all they do is eat beets. But he says to take 1/5 of the beets. So I'm looking at 1/2, and then 1/2 again of that, and a little bit less is going to give me 1/5 of a beet. But beets are pretty messy, and they also, if you use too much beet in a smoothie or in juice, it's actually going to be pretty beety tasting, and you're not going to love it. So I've got 1/5 of it going on here. It's hard to get just 1/5 of a beet. 1/5 of a beet, look at that color inside. If you ever notice when you go to the bathroom after you've been eating beets, they are often very red in color. And the first time that happened to me, I thought I was dying, but it's just from the beet. And then I thought it was really interesting that he had you take 1/5 of a jalapeno. That's going to give it some zip. It's also going to give you more antioxidants. But if you don't like that sort of thing, then leave that out. And the last thing is, and I love this, it's 1/5 of a turmeric root. And turmeric has so many antioxidant qualities, and you don't see it fresh very often. You can actually order this online. I got this at Whole Foods, and I was like, oh my God, it's $15 a pound. Do you know how much this whole thing costs? This is gonna last me for the week. The whole thing was 40 cents. So definitely well worth it. I'm gonna take a little piece of that. And then the last thing that he has you add is greens. And he says to add the greens to the bag. I say ixnay on that because once you pick greens, they start to lose their antioxidant qualities. So I'm going to use fresh greens. He also says, I'd have you use arugula, but by the time you get it, to the 5th day, it's gonna be slimy and mushy. Well, if you have your own garden, especially if you have your own vertical tower garden like ours, if you want to know more about that, you can just click on the link in the bio above. But see, these roots are still attached. This thing's gonna stay fresh all week long, and I can take these and add it to my bag when I'm ready to blend it up. And I'm gonna do this in the morning because I've already had one today. But all we're gonna do is we're gonna add all of this to, now you've gotta have a pretty heavy duty mixer or be willing to have yours get toasted. But I've got a Vitamix, I've got 2 different canister sizes. I've also got one that does, a blade that does grains. This is one of the best investments that you can possibly ever make, guys. Sometimes you can find them used, but definitely worth the investment to get a Vitamix. Everything's gonna go in the Vitamix. I'm gonna blend it up. I'm gonna have as many bags full of my juicing mix, my green drink mix. It's not even a green drink. It's it's like making V8 juice, right? So one comparison that he did was he looked at V8 because that would be a lot easier, right? Turns out you would have to drink 90 cans of V8 juice to get the nutrients that are in this little Ziploc bag that I just put together. So I hope that you like that. We might include this recipe in our season 9 of Cook with Jake and Joy, which is coming up we're gonna be filming the 3rd week of February. So if there are some recipes that you'd love to have us see, sometimes you've got a favorite recipe that's not gluten-free or vegan, but you'd love us to recreate it. We are happy to do that. Maybe you had a great recipe at a restaurant and you'd like to know how to recreate it. Reach out and let us know, and we'll do our darndest to do that for you. So that's all I've got for this week. We'll be back next week with one of our best of Cook with Jake and Joy. Have a great rest of your night, guys.